Good evening everybody, Jason Wood, the Trackman guy from Thornley Golf Centre, coming you tonight on a beautiful warm summer evening from the top deck of the range. And it's time for another product review, and tonight we're not just doing one of the heavyweights of golf, but we've actually got two for you, and this is an exciting time of year for anybody who's into their equipment. Obviously the global world trade show, if you like, in Orlando is on at the moment, and that's where virtually all of the top companies keep their major product launches for the season until that week. So here we have a couple of new clubs that I'm sure you've heard a little bit about already from the marketing that these companies do on the likes of Facebook and just through direct messaging on their own media. Callaway have had a couple of products over the last couple of years that have done okay, nothing spectacular in my opinion. You know, the last Great Big Bertha was a very nice driver, nothing really wrong with it. The Alpha was the kind of the low spinning version of the same thing, and that was an okay club too. But in all fairness, both clubs didn't really bring anything new to the table from the previous models that they had replaced. But that's where things changed a little bit. So here tonight, let me show you the new Great Big Bertha Epic. And I'm sure they thought long and hard about that title, Epic. It's, well, is it epic? Only you are going to be able to tell that. This is one of those kind of golf clubs that really is a very, very similar club in many ways to the ones that we've seen before, but with one or two revolutionary new changes. Jailbreak technology is their big word. This is their big buzzword. And basically what it is, when the face of the golf club strikes the ball, it kind of goes a little bit out of shape. And that energy is tending to be lost a little bit, so the transfer of energy from the impact on the face through the other side may just not be as strong as you'd hope it to be. So what's jailbreak technology all about? Well, see these two things here in the bottom of the golf club. They're two vertical stabilizing bars. They go up the entire length of the face and are there to support the face under the big stress of impact. The titanium exo cage, what a great piece of marketing talk that is right there. That's the kind of shell here that you can see around the front side, and then this carbon composite in there as well. So a carbon composite on the back, titanium on the front. I think one of the other things that they've tried to do here is they've tried to bring some of the technology that they had from the XR driver last year, call it Speed Step, and it's these little deflectors on the top of the golf club that tries to give you a little bit of extra swing speed. The changes on the hosel, remember, from Callaway are a plus or minus 2 degree increment. Going upwards it's plus 2 degrees, going downwards it's minus 1 degree. So if you buy a 10.5 degree head, you can go down 1 degree to 9.5 or up to 11.5 or 12.5. So plenty of adjustability in the back there. You can set it for a square face or a draw bias. And they've put a little bit of extra weight now in the back here, which is giving you up to 21 yards of shot shape correction, so their marketing tells us. I have to say, it's a nice looking golf club. It's a very, very clean looking club when you sit it down at address. Certainly sits behind the ball very well. 4 standard stock offerings in shafts. So the new Project X hazardous shaft is very popular at the moment. We'll be talking about that again in a moment. They've got an updated version of the Aldila Road, and there's also the Fujikura shafts that we've seen before and the Diamana shafts as well. So there's 4 standard stock ones to choose from, and I think that this is going to be a fairly well received product. I've had a hit with it already. It didn't do wonders for me, I have to say. It kind of produced some good results, but when we had a go and Steve had a hit with it earlier on, he saw a really big jump in ball speed, so 5 miles an hour over the previous Great Big Bertha. So if you're a previous Great Big Bertha owner and you're interested in maybe getting a little bit more speed and distance, this is certainly worth a try. I think it's also had an awful lot of excellent press over the last few weeks because Rory McIlroy, who's out of contract at the moment from a perspective of hardware, has chosen to play the Sub-Zero version of this, which hasn't been launched yet, but I assume that's just an ultra low spinning version. But I think the fact that obviously from Rory's point of view, he had a chance to take out any golf club he wanted to take out. This was the combination of driver and fairway wood he's put in the bag, and that tells you that at the end of the day, that's a superb product. Now this normally would have the stage all to itself, but unfortunately for Callaway, Over its shoulder is TaylorMade with the brand new M1. Same number, same name. So if you've had an M1 before, this is going to be no surprise and no major shock to you. But they do tell us that it's a ground up brand new golf club, so it's not just a tweaked version of the incredibly successful M1 and M2 series drivers that we've seen before. Changes on the top of the head mean that the white strip at the front now is a little bit smaller, and there are 6 layers of carbon composite on the back. I think it certainly sits a little bit nicer. I have to say, I thought the other one sat quite well, but this one sits absolutely superb. And these new T-tracks on the bottom, which are just extensions of the ones we've seen before, give you a little bit of extra ability to maneuver them options. So you can push the forward one to extra fade or draw biasing, and then the rearward one is more about either increasing spin rate or decreasing spin rate, depending on what you really need. Spin rate's one of them kind of things that you can't really have your cake and eat it, so to speak. You can have a higher spin rate with the center of gravity further back, and that will undoubtedly give you a little bit of extra forgiveness on those mishits from the toe and the heel. However, if you do slide that all the way forward, you will see the spin rate come down quite drastically. I had a hit with this a couple of weeks ago when we first saw it and tested it, and I was absolutely astounded by how well it came off. Very, very nice feel. Very, very good golf club, and I think again, if you get the right shaft and loft combination for you, then this is certainly a product that we'll see in a lot of people's bags as we go forward this year. One of the changes that you can't really see is that they've actually changed the way the fitting is in the inside here, so they've actually saved a little bit of weight with that. So they've actually got an ultra lightweight sleeve on the inside, and that really does give them a chance to take these slides and move the weight distribution a little bit further. It certainly isn't a gimmick on this one. It's certainly one of those things that does make a difference. But as with all these golf clubs, you need the right combination of loft and shaft for you. You'll certainly find that when you sit it on the ground, it's really appealing to look at. The sound is superb, as it is with both of these, to be fair. I don't think there's an awful lot to be chosen between them, to be honest with you. I think it's a bit more to do with how it suits you. The shaft choices in this, you get a Fujikura like you do with the Epic. You also get the Project X Hazardous like you get with the Epic. The only difference is the Kurokage shaft that was very popular in M1 and M2 last year has carried over into the 2017 model. M2 will be out soon as well, so we'll do a little review of that when it comes out. But these are the two prime heavyweights. These are the two companies, major champions if you like. These are the head-to-head guys in the driver market. So what's the burning question? Is this really a good idea? Should you come down and get yourself one of these? Well, you certainly should come down and have a fitting, without any question. I think from what we've seen in the past with every company, if you just change a driver from year to year, there's a small difference. There's a little bit of difference. So if you have last year's M1, this year's M1, you know, you'll see a little difference, maybe, but not too much. But if you've got a driver from 3 or 4 years ago, or any further back than that, then the gains are absolutely different class. You'll notice it immediately. You'll notice it in the feel, the spin rate, the mishits. And I think the other thing as well, if you didn't have your last driver fitted for you, then that could be a big difference. Lots and lots of players still using 9.5, 8.5 degree drivers. We see it all the time here on the range when I'm giving golf lessons. We see players with very low lofted drivers. Jason Day, 125 miles an hour clubhead speed, 10.5 degree driver. If you're using less than 10.5 and you're not swinging at that speed, it's fair to say your driver is probably not being optimized. Come and bring it down. Let's get on track, man. Let's take a look. Let's see what your driver can do. We'll find out how close you are to optimizing the current club. We'll look at your golf swing, because obviously that's always a big part of it. But then we'll also take a look at these two new clubs, and if you want to have a hit, they are both top end of the range, so they'll be up and around the $700 mark retail wise. But I think you'll find that if you get the right one fitted, then both of these products will be absolutely superb for you in your bag. And it's a little bit of personal preference at the end of the day, which is best. It's hard to say that one's significantly better than the other. I think there's one thing that's really interesting with any driver on the market, doesn't matter whose driver it is. Let me just show you the two side by side. The companies are very much trying to essentially fiddle around with the same ingredients, aren't they? So the limited head size that we've seen for a number of years, that's about the same as it always has been. The length of the two shafts fairly the same. The size of the face pretty much the same. The ball speed is kind of limited to a degree. So really these companies are all refining the same ingredients, and it's just about whether one combination of head weight, shaft weight, flex just works right for you. It's amazing how many people come along for a fitting with me on the TrackMan and end up taking a driver home that's hitting the ball 20 metres further, even though theoretically on paper it shouldn't do much better than the one they have. Alright, well, good to speak to you all again. Hope you enjoyed the little review. Feel free to throw some comments in there if you like. This is Jason Wood, the TrackMan guy from Thornley Golf Centre. We'll catch you again next time.